Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is John Pollard and I preach for the Zanesville Church of Christ. And I just wanted to share with you a couple of things today for the rest of your week so that you can carry with you and you can think about this. I don't know if you can see clearly here, but this is about halfway in my Bible, directly halfway. And the passage I'm looking at is Psalm 118. And when we look at the Bible, it is a really big book. It is a long book. It contains quite a few messages from God at length. And so halfway in this book, Psalm 118, we have a couple of verses that I think is just awesome and absolutely important for us to think about. And I want to read for you Psalm 118, beginning in verse 8. The Bible says it is better to take refuge. It is better to put our trust in God than to trust in man. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in princes. We live in a country that values freedom. We value our freedom. And along those lines, we value the freedom of speech. We want to express what we think about things. We love to share our opinions with others about what we feel about certain things and where we want to see things go. And there's nothing wrong with that to a certain extent. The Bible talks about freedom being an excellent thing. It is a thing that comes from God, ultimately, freedom. But we also live in a country that values politics, and we love our politics here in the United States of America. A lot of people do anyway. I'm not saying that's true for every single person, but for the general population, we know, and you know, that everyone has some sort of opinion or view when it comes to politics in their life. And I think a lot of people tend to take that too far. In other words, they become overly confident about their party or about their favorite politician or about their local congressman or senator or mayor or whatever the case might be. And that person can be caught up in the political climate of today's day and time, especially here in this country. And we may, if we're not careful, find ourselves casting our allegiance to these men or women, to these leaders and princes, as the Bible describes it. And we can easily just throw God aside and leave him in the back burner for dead. But usually, what we see happen in these situations is they fail us, don't they? Politicians fail us all the time. They make promises and they don't keep all of them. And even if they keep most of them, it is never to the satisfaction of most people. And that's just who we are as human beings. We will never be satisfied with mankind, with leaders and politicians that make promises and offer these things for us. But I'll tell you, the Bible teaches us that we can be satisfied with one man. Or should I say one God? His name is Jesus. I say he's one man because he became man. In Philippians chapter 2, the Bible teaches us that Jesus left heaven and took on the form of flesh. In John chapter 1 at verse 14, the Bible also teaches us there that the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Speaking of Jesus, Jesus is both God and man. And the Bible tells us halfway, remember, through the Bible, Psalm 118, it is better to put trust in the Lord than to trust in man. It is better to take refuge in God than to put our trust in princes. Why? Why would God say that halfway through the Bible? Well, if you back up to the beginning of the Bible, it's all about politics. So one could argue that. People are down in Egypt. The Israelites are suffering at the hands of King Pharaoh. The people are brought out of Egypt and they go into the land of Canaan where they have judges and later they have kings. And again, political climate, they're trusting in their kings rather than ultimately trusting in God. In 1 Samuel chapter 8, the people plead to Samuel the prophet that they want a king like the other nations to fight for them and to deliver them. And Samuel is saddened. He is disappointed at the request, but God tells him, "Don't you worry, Samuel. The people have rejected me as their king, not you. They've rejected me." I think that's something important for us to recognize, that when we choose to cast our allegiances and our loyalty to man, we are rejecting God, the only one, and the one that will ultimately be able to give us our deepest needs. Halfway through the Bible, God gives us a great reminder for us to think about. Maybe you've lived long enough that you know this truth, and I don't have to tell you this. This is nothing new to you. But I want to encourage you, friends. Don't give your trust and don't cast your allegiance to some guide or some woman that won't be able to help you. Trust in God. Let Him help you. Let Him deliver you. Let Him take you from here to the next life. Let Him give you salvation and grant you the grace and the truth and the mercy that we all need to get to heaven. For without Him, we are ultimately nothing. I hope that this has been encouraging to you and that you can take some thoughts away from this and that it will help your life and your week this week. Please share this with your friends. Thank you for joining us.